What's up, Workforce? Brian here, and I think I have an interesting video for you guys today. Chaos Prime at YouTube writes, "Worked a game. As somebody who has played Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV, what are your views and thoughts about the two communities, and overall, which one do you wish prevailed? Yes, I also love Final Fantasy XI." And I think this is a really good question, and I responded to it, but I said I really needed time to think and process it, because there's a lot of complexity and a lot of depth, and I really wanted to give it, my full thought, my full attention, and thus I'm bringing you this video, namely to Chaos Prime, but anybody else who might be interested in my thoughts when it comes to Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV. But these are just my thoughts, and I'd love to know yours, so sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking about Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV. So this, like I said, is a complex topic, and there's so much that we need to dive into when comparing the two games. They have a relationship to each other. They obviously have varying connections. The games being founded themselves, like with the races, especially with the original races coming over from Final Fantasy XI with some slight modifications back in 1.0. And now that we've obviously got expanded races, etc., it's always interesting to see how far that's come and gone.
Oh no, Brian. Why does everything need to be versus each other? But Chuck, it's just a simple question. He is just answering it in video form. Great, so he's just trying to do it for the views then. Typical American. So you don't want him to make this video? Maybe. Well, I guess it's complicated. But Chuck, Brian's always been about the videos you want to watch. If you're feeling burnt out on a discussion topic, maybe it's the perfect time to take a break. Fair point. I guess I should really listen to what he has to say on the subject. Oh, s'il vous plaît. But you might even be surprised. Oh god, speaking of which, sounds like he's gone down a rabbit hole. We better jump back in and get this thing back on track.
And that's when I started paying attention to Andrew Yang. That was weird. So where was I? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV. Some context, just in case somebody's new here to the channel. Final Fantasy XI was my first MMORPG, and I've made every mistake in the book. And I loved, not every minute of it, but I loved that game. And I quit it multiple times because ultimately, when one night I was playing it and I realized I de-leveled. I made negative progress towards my goals, and it was just like, okay, time to take a break. But the game continued to innovate, and it was not just the game, but the community as a whole, as Chaos is really kind of asking here. I do want to say, I think there is a subtext to the question. I think around this time in a game's life, in 14 specifically, when you've done the story and you're kind of waiting for certain content, like the relic, some really big meaty grind to kind of drive you forward into the game itself, it can feel like, hey, there's just a lot of people ready to take a break or they're already on breaks. And that's really Final Fantasy XI versus 14 is really the concept, really. It's not, you can take those games and names out of it, and it could be the sandbox versus the theme park. And a theme park, like Final Fantasy XIV, has that curated experience. It drives you forward. It's got the narrative. And I think probably the best narrative, I kind of go back and forth between Tactics 6 and 14 as to which is my favorite of all time. And they kind of interchange depending on my mood. And so that's okay. But with those three games, and with that theme park, it drives me forward into the story, and eventually you do hit walls where you wait for the next chapter to come out. And with 11, you have to have something kind of driving you internally. They have a story, yeah, and I've enjoyed every bit of it that I've experienced, but I didn't really play 11 for the story. I played it for the community and just going about and trying to conquer the world and try to make money, and it was a living, breathing world to me, especially at the time, especially not having any context to an MMO RPG at the time. And so the subtext is which that I think would win, and you could let me know, Chaos, if I'm right on the money. I think it's just a general that 14 could use a little bit more sandbox and 11 could use a little bit more 14. And when you look at these two games, I think they complement each other more than they go against each other. But I can understand, like within the community, why people have their favorites. And I love them both. These are my two great loves. Like Final Fantasy as a, just a genre, or as a series. But really it's a genre, we can classify it as that. It is so captivating me at every moment that I can't get enough. I play every Final Fantasy game I can get my hands on, even the offshoots. Like, never played Mystic Quest. I love Mystic Quest. I'm weird at the end of the day. Like, at the end of the day, like, Final Fantasy, I'm in, and then we'll judge it after the fact in that regards of how it all ranks up and stacks up. So, I think there's that subtext there, and I see it kind of going on in the community. I've seen some articles written and things like that when it comes to 14. And I think people aren't, I think if you look back and you take a step back, anybody who's frustrated with 14 is frustrated with more the theme park, because essentially all the rides have been ridden. And then the question is, why should I continue to ride those rides? Which typically somebody will respond to me because it's fun. And I agree. I ride the rides a couple times for fun. And then after that, it's well, like, what am I going to get out of it? Why continue to grind and invest that time into a game? And so I think with 14, the grind and the fun comes into leveling the jobs. And so I spend a lot of time on that. And you'll see me typically when XP becomes like pointless, when it has no value in the game, that's where I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to wait until it comes back. And that's just how I try to balance out joy. I think both of these need to be tempered with joy. Later this year, I'm going to be playing New World. It's a sandbox MMO. I'm playing it specifically as a test to see if I am really in love with sandboxes, or if the Final Fantasy thing helped me get over the burn that you would feel naturally with 11. Because again, you had to set your own goals. You had the driving force in a sandbox is that they give you a world to play in, and you can go play. But if you need that curated experience, if you need to go from the game to take you from A to B to C to D, it's probably not going to be your game. I don't think I want either of these to win. I want both of them to win. And I think, and I hope, my dog's barking, and I hope that we could see a future in which that, like with WoW and WoW Classic, that there's one sub to rule them all. And that they bring Final Fantasy XI back to consoles and really look at it as not a versus, but just what kind of experience and mood are you in? We all play more than one game. There are definitely an argument to say that somebody's looking for one game, one community to be a part of. And me being a part of 14 for 10 years, in 7 years prior, I played 11 for 7 years. So, man, it's almost been, when you put that math together, it's almost 20 years. There's a connection that I have to both of these games and these communities. And it's almost to the point where I wish Play Online was something more than it was. And I get that, if you could give me anything, take it off of Play Online, bring it to console, make it all cohesive. But what I mean by that is that your friends list is your friends list. If you look at Battle.net, I think that's what they were trying to make Play Online, being kind of their ecosystem to buy their games and things like that. But I think it was ahead of its time, and and things change and plans change. But I think hopefully that kind of makes sense. I want to see both kind of stack up like a deck of cards. It's not going to happen, so just give me one subscription so I can play both games. And I think that is where it could thrive. And I think if they could connect it, this is a long shot, guys. I don't think this is happening within 5 years. I would love it to, but connect it to where, if I'm playing 11 or if I'm playing 14 or if I'm playing X, we're not separated as a Final Fantasy loving community. And I think that's the best, because maybe I feel like just grinding on some mobs out in the open world for hours at a time. And maybe that's what I want to do. And maybe sometimes I really want that narrative experience. And I think that comes down to it, is that you can have both. And they don't have to all exist in the same game. And I think that's what WoW and WoW Classic has showed us. I think that was what 14 and 11 could show us too. It's just a matter of what Square Enix decides to do. Because we're all going to have our specific tastes. And sometimes, I'm eclectic in that way. My tastes change. It could be season to season. So, I played 11 a little bit last year. I'm hoping to play it again this year, but I'm totally stalking on Hunting for Games and his 11 experience. Destin Legary's doing some kind of thing for my GN on 11, but I think he's doing it for his personal channel, and I'm really been enjoying watching that. So, I have to say, I don't think it's about which one's better. I think it's about what's better for you at the time. And I want people to experience both. That's really what it boils down to. And I know that not everybody will or can. I mean, being sub to 2 games is pretty substantial. But based off of obviously Square Enix's, New Year's letter, not Yoshi P's, but the president of Square Enix talking about subscription services, that's the way the market's going. I think we'll see that you'll end up picking up a subscription service like a Netflix sub, and maybe we just kind of bounce around from different products to different products. It's going to be an interesting year, and hopefully this video was interesting to you. Those are my thoughts, guys, and hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully it gives you some insight into how I think and perceive things. And regardless, if you liked it, if you agree, if you disagree, hope you hit that like button, hit that share button. Sound off in the comments below. Hit me up on Discord, and if you feel like I'm just out in left field, you can always just have a direct conversation with me on Discord or on Twitter. It's up to you. And people have taken me up on that, and they're usually pleasant. They were nervous at first, pleasant surprise. I literally am just like this, and I'm just like a guy down to earth, So anyway, no pressure if you don't want to talk to me. Anyway, so there was a lot of other stuff I wanted to talk about today, but I'm not going to put it in this video. Maybe we'll save that for a video later this week as things roll out. We've got more stuff coming to both games. Final Fantasy XIV's obviously getting ready for a new live letter, and then we've got patch 5.2 on apparently the 18th. I think that makes the most sense for a date in my mind. So I'm really excited to continue on the story, and I'm really enjoying leveling up the jobs. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Love you very much. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.